Hello, my name is Jenna Bosiger, and you're watching Cryptid's YouTube channel. And if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the bell. I really appreciate it. Alright, on this episode about cryptids that live in the shadow of man, and habituation, which is a method used by Jane Goodall and the chimpanzees, and Diane Fossey with the gorillas to make contact, and they have proven it to be an effective way to learn a lot about a species without having to kill one in the name of science. I'm going to continue on with my Bigfoot cryptid documentary research that I was doing, and so far what's happened is I went deep into Batista Canyon and experienced the whoops and the infrasound and the being paralleled. And the next thing to happen, it didn't actually happen for a couple years later, and that's when I started going to the sandy riverbed and finding the deep prints in the sandy riverbed and all the other animal prints that were going to the golf course lakes to drink from Batista Canyon. And so I continued going there, and then I began to find the nests and the lairs and the branches that were brought there from somewhere else and broken off and not, cut with a saw or anything. And different types of nests, deep nests that you would be really hard to even reach. And in one picture, I even caught some eyes looking out of the nest. Then I decided it would be a good idea, after 6 months of going to this place, I decided it would be a good idea to do a night investigation. And so my friend came up from the city to visit me, and we did a night investigation, and we did have some cryptid encounters of some creatures with some red eyes and red mouth, and they were shaking the bushes and getting aggressive, and so we left in a hurry, and then I left my phone there, and so I had to go back the next day, and that's when I found the other strange prints, like either handprints or paw prints of, something digging where we had been sitting, and something also had taken a dump right where we were sitting. So at this point, I wanted to take it to the next level. I decided to go on Google Sky Maps and actually look for a place that would have more water and mud, because the sand didn't leave very detailed prints. So I found a good place, and I also had to find a place where I could access that area, and so that took a while. And so I finally found the location after searching, and with a lot of expectation and anticipation, I went to the location, hoping to find prints. And when I got there, I found a lot of prints. And so I got pretty excited, and that was the beginning of what would be my new Bigfoot hotspot, like headquarters. So every time from this point forward, I started coming here all the time. And every time I would come, I would start at this location and either go up or down, but I would always come to this location first. And so the first time I got there, I decided that I wanted to just do a quick check upstream and downstream to see if I saw any other prints. And I did find some upstream and downstream, and to me that signified that something was using the riverbed to travel, rather than maybe somebody who found some mud and decided to take their shoes off and, walk around in the mud. This seemed like it was from some creatures, different sizes, that were using the riverbed to travel. And that some of these creatures decided to stop and kind of play in the mud. There did seem to be a playfulness to the prints. But what I want to show you on this episode is a very short video that I found, but it's still to this day one of my favorite videos. And it's of a group of prints, and it looks like to me it was made by two different creatures. And one creature, not only are the prints different, but the activity of the prints are different, of the creature who made the prints. So of the wider and flatter print, although it is not like enormous in size, because I would find some bigger ones later, but those, they would tend to walk on the rocks and not be playing in the mud, you know, like the other younger ones would. But this one, I think, is maybe the mother or an older one. And it's just one single print, and then it looks like it goes up off into the edge where you can't really see the prints anymore. But then the other creature that made the prints, you can see 3 prints in a row close together, and they're kind of, you know, shaped in different angles. And then the next one is a set of prints with the heels together in a V shape, is what I think it looks like. So it looks like it's like standing there. And so this behavior to me just seems a little bit more kind of scattered and more like a child. And then the difference in the prints is that, you know, one is much wider and flatter. And I'm wondering if that is something that can happen or happens where the younger ones' prints are much different than the older ones when they change when they get older and become flatter and less curved. And I'm wondering if that is something that anyone else has ever heard of. But I just love this short video, and I did try to take some stills from each of the, you know, of some of the best pictures of the prints, because of course at the time I didn't realize that it was going to be so special. And this group of prints wasn't in the hardened mud. It was downstream, and it was, you know, going to be washed away rather quickly. But I just love this video so much. To me, I just love that one print too. I love how it looks so different from the other ones, and just the way it looks like a different mindset. You know, the creature that made it isn't like as playful and unsure, you know. And so I just really love that. But I am going to also have to continue showing you the main group of prints in that location, because there was also, you know, the first set of handprints that I found there, and I kept going back to this location, and I did make some casts here and stuff like that. So, but this is the first time I came here, and like I said, I found it because I was looking for a place that would be a good hotspot. And if I was going to recommend how you could find a hotspot in your area, this is what I would tell you to do. I would say, do a Google search for any Bigfoot sightings in your city or town, and then do a radial search from your town out until you find where the Bigfoot sightings are. And you can also go on BFRO and check for Bigfoot sightings in your county. And then you can go on Google Sky Maps and search for the wilderness areas nearest you, that are closest to you, and the Bigfoot hotspots closest to you, and then find the water sources closest to you, and then find access points. And then, like, I recommend staying, you know, finding a place and then pretty much staying put and finding something kind of to do to entertain yourself. And for me, I was taking pictures, you know, not just of the Bigfoot stuff, but for art. And so I was amusing myself and going there repeatedly and doing, you know, the same things over and over, and not, you know, wandering out too much. So I made it very easy for them to come in and see what was going on. and be able to get away easily because they had the upper ground. And so another thing that I did every time before I would go look for Bigfoot is I would put on perfume, the same type of perfume all the time. And I don't know if they were able to smell that, but it's the same idea of what's called habituation, which is something that Jane Goodall and Diane Fossey both practiced and had great success with. And if you don't know already, Jane Goodall works with chimpanzees and has done amazing work. Starting out, though, as a young person, just going to Africa where the chimps are in the forest in Africa and just hoping to find them. And, both of them, both Diane and Jane, talked about how the beginning seemed kind of hopeless because it's a vast area, and the chances, they're in there somewhere, but the chances of finding them, sometimes seem like an impossible task. But they both found them, and then they just practiced habituation and had, like I said, a lot of success with it. And it's just the idea of them getting used to you and you not harming them or being a threat, and them being able to continue on with their normal behavior, hopefully, with you around. That's the desired goal anyways. And so, I think this is the best way to go about researching cryptids and Bigfoot. And, maybe not necessarily going so deep into the wilderness, but, staying around the edges and trying to draw them in. So that's sort of what I had going on here. Well, and also I was in the pathway. So they were there at night and I was there in the day. And I don't know if they had I think they had underground locations where they could maybe were able to see parts of the riverbed during the day. But for the most part, they were there in the day. They were there at night and I was there in the day. And then I feel like we were both looking at the signs that each other had left, the last time we were there. But, please don't leave trash because that's not really helpful and it's dangerous. And, I didn't know that at first. We'll get into all that later, though. So I just wanted to mention Jane Goodall and Diane Fossey and the work that they did, and how brave they were and passionate they were and fearless, and how much success they had, as opposed to the idea of trying to kill one to prove their existence, for science. Even if it is to try to protect them, it is not it's not the best way to go about it. I don't think that is a good idea at all. And I am sure I can speak for Jane Goodall and Diane Fossey and say, I don't think that they think killing one to prove they exist is a good idea either. And, if anybody ever says to me, I'm just one person, how can I change the world? I'm going to bring up Jane Goodall and Diane Fossey because they had such a huge impact on the world and changed the world, just basically sacrificed their lives to the cause and to the fight. And they're great role models for children and adults as well. So anyways, that's going to wrap up this episode of Cryptids about habituation. And at this stage in my Bigfoot research, I've just now come to this new hotspot, which is going to now be my main hotspot, where I start coming back. Not every day, but as much as I could, as often as I could. And so we'll continue on from there. So thank you for watching this episode. I really do appreciate it. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the bell. And I'll see you next time. Bye.